All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Do Hard Things podcast. I'm your host, Jay Tiegs, certified high performance coach, founder of the Do Hard Things Nation, host of the Do Hard Things podcast. I help people develop grit and discipline, develop confidence, stay focused on their why so they can achieve their goals and live a fulfilling life. And in this episode of the Do Hard Things podcast, what I want to do is talk about why people don't achieve their goals. At the time of this podcast, it's the beginning of February of 2022. New Year's resolutions are, if you're going back to the gym, you're noticing it was crowded the last 6 weeks, but over the past few weeks, it's probably gotten thinner and thinner and thinner. And why is that? Why do people quit? And you've probably done this in your life. I know I certainly have started something and I've quit. And what I want to do today is basically give you 4 strategies or 4 considerations to help you when you start a goal to see it through and talk about the 5 steps in the emotional cycle of change. So before we get into that, just a few housekeeping notes. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe so you're notified of future episodes. You don't miss out. We've got a great lineup of guests and topics, and the podcast continues to grow. So just ask that you subscribe so you're notified. Leave a review on Apple iTunes. If you've gained any value from the work that we're doing here, I ask that you leave a review. It goes a long way in the rankings. People have stumbled across the podcast because of the rankings and the reviews, and it just goes a long way to expanding the Do Hard Things Nation. So please take a moment and do so. Share with 2 of your friends. Take a screenshot. There's no doubt that you know someone that could probably use some help with goal setting. Take a screenshot, share it on social media, tag me in it. Let me know what insight that you gained and share it with a couple of your friends. I would really appreciate that. And you can connect with me on social media as well. All my links are in the show notes. I'm basically on every platform. And yeah, I'd love to hear your insights. This episode is sponsored by jaytiegs.com, JAYTIEGS.com, where I offer one-on-one coaching, group high performance leadership workshops. The Forge Mastermind, which is we have a weekly meeting with the Forge community where I facilitate conversation and host a high performance topic and where you can connect with other like-minded people. And it's through these types of groups where I have personally leveled up. It's fundamentally changed my life. You can do personal development on your own, but when you have a coach or mentor, whether it be on one-on-one or in a group environment, your growth is exponential. So consider that. We're also going to have numerous challenges. And if you haven't signed up already, sign up for the Do Hard Things newsletter where I send out some weekly motivation. My 3 finds for the week could be something funny, something educational, something motivational or inspirational. Maybe it's a tool that I'm using, and send that weekly. And also keep you posted on the upcoming events like the Do Hard Things Nation Speaker Series and other challenges and events that will be rolling out. So in addition to that, you also want to go check out some Do Hard Things merch. I'm wearing my Disciplined shirt. And I love they're high quality. It's stuff that I want to wear. We have patches, hoodies, a variety of different shirts. But when I wear these things, one, it reminds me that I am disciplined, that I do hard things. And every time that I go out and I'm doing something difficult, people they just love the sayings and designs. So show the world that you do hard things, that you're disciplined. Great. We've got some products that have some funny sayings on them. Then we just got the Do Hard Things logo. But when you wear them, you're inspired yourself. They feel great. And so show the world that you do hard things. And you grab yourself some merch. Look at the show notes for the store link. All right. So I'm going to apologize up front. I just got over COVID. And then immediately as I started feeling better, I developed like a really nasty head cold. So if I sound a little off, it's because of that. But you know what? The show must go on. So we're going to power through this thing anyway. But I just want to give you a heads up on that. So, all right. So let's talk about it's the beginning of February. Most people have either quit or they're about to quit their New Year's resolutions. I'm hosting a group right now called 75 Hard. And there's people quitting there. And it happens. It happens. But I think if you have awareness, that's going to be the number one thing that's going to help you when you're trying to achieve a goal or you set off on a goal is having some level of awareness. And the framework that I'm going to teach you today and the considerations, if you apply these, to whatever goal, whether it be a health and wellness goal, financial goal, relationship goal, a project that you're working on for work, whatever it is, if you have these considerations and you understand this and you have this framework, you can work through it and you can actually push through. And so, so let me see. All right, give me a second here. I apologize. I'm looking at my notes here. So let's talk about the 5 steps of the emotional cycle of change and 4 considerations to help you push through the valley of despair, which is number 3 of 5 on the emotional cycle of change. So let me do the steps of emotional change first. And for those that are listening right now, I'm actually recording this for YouTube as well. So I'm going to try to articulate this because what I have here in my hand is a little whiteboard with a drawing. And as you can see, I am not Bob Ross, but I think that you can get the point anyway. So I'm going to try to explain this for those that are listening so you still have a frame of reference and understanding. So basically what I'm holding in my hand here, let's just say we're starting a new goal. So pick a goal that you have in your mind. Maybe you're currently working on it, or it's a goal that maybe you've given up on in the past, but just bear with me. Identify a goal in your mind. And basically what I want you to envision is standing on top of a mountain peak, okay? You're up in the snow line, you're looking down the mountain. You see the tree line, because if you've ever been on a mountain, I think right around 10,000, 11,000 feet, the tree line, that the trees don't grow any higher. Okay, so you're at the very top of this very 14,000 foot peak. And you're looking down, you see the tree line, and then you look down further, you see this beautiful valley below with a nice creek down there, and you're looking over at another mountain and another peak. And your goal is to, you're going to start off on this little adventure, and you're going to go to that other peak, which is going to require you to come down off the mountain, down below the tree line, enter the valley, up the next mountain, and onto the next peak, which is your final destination. That's ultimately where you want to be. That is your goal. Now think of a health and wellness goal. Think of a relationship goal. Think of a project that you're trying to execute. A project is defined as something that has a specific start date and end date. Okay, so think about that as we go through this illustration. Okay, all right. So step number 1, where you're at now, is uninformed optimism. You're inspired. You heard a podcast, someone challenged you, maybe you read a book, and you're like, you know what, I'm fired up. And I'm going to use 75 hard as an example because we talk about that a lot here. A lot of my listeners are familiar with that. But just remember, this could be applied to any goal. But I'm going to use 75 hard as an example because that's what I'm actually working through right now myself, and I've got a group of people that are doing it. So the end goal is completing 75 days. And if you're not familiar with 75 hard, it's 5 tasks, 2 workouts, 45 minutes each. 1 must be outdoors. Choose a diet, stick with it, no cheat meal, no alcohol, drink a gallon of water, take a progress photo of yourself, and read 10 pages of a personal growth and development book. 5 tasks. If you miss any of those tasks, you have to start over. And so that's the goal, right? So we're gonna we've identified our workout routine, we've identified our diet, we're excited, new year, new me, let's do this, right? And you hear that often from a lot of people. All right, so this is where uninformed optimism. Now, if you look at the tree line here, if you see my illustration, you know where the tree line is. And if those that you don't see, at 10,000 feet, that's below the tree line. Well, everything from the tree line and up, what I want you to imagine on this axis over here is emotion, all right? So above the tree line, happiness. Below the tree line, sad face, okay? So we're happy. We're optimistic. We're on top of this mountain. It's beautiful. We're well rested. We're ready to take on this adventure of getting through 75 hard, which is on top of this other mountain over here. And it's beautiful over there. See this beautiful valley. We're optimistic. We're going to get it done. All right. So you start your journey. You put your backpack on. You're all fueled up. You're full of energy. You start the journey and you start stepping. And you're walking down the snow. The mountain air is fresh. You're still excited. You're making progress, and you're moving down the mountain. You see the valley below, and you still see the peak of where you're going to end up. But you're a few hours into this thing, and what you notice is, the shorts that you put on today might be riding up a little bit. I'm getting a little chafed. The strap on my backpack starting to dig in a little bit. Kind of hurts a little bit. Starting to get a little, as I'm walking, I'm getting a little, a little rub down there, right? A little hot spot starting to develop a little bit. We're still moving through, but we're starting to feel a little uncomfortable, and we're below the tree line now. And so now that we're below the tree line, we're having a hard time seeing the objective on the far side because we're in the trees right now. And this is what's called informed pessimism. You begin to change your behavior. You have to do some things differently. This is where the pain of change starts to occur. You're on this journey. It's like, okay, you're starting to feel the pain of this. And you might feel a little resistance and a little pessimism. And so that's what this stage is. And it starts to suck a little bit. You're starting to suffer a little bit, but you're still moving through. Now, the next one is number 3. And this is when you maneuver down through the tree line, down to the valley. We're going to call this the valley of despair. All right. This is where you begin to bottom out. This is where you're really starting to suffer. The shorts that were kind of riding up, okay, they're starting to chafe a little bit. You got some blisters now. Your backpack strap is digging in. It sucks. It's hard. You're down in the valley and you're looking up at the objective. And you're like, man, this looked a lot shorter when I was standing on the other hilltop or the mountaintop. But now that I'm here, I'm looking up at this mountain. It's like, oh my gosh, it just seems impossible. And this is where most people bail out. They quit. It's too hard. It's uncomfortable. The end state, the end goal is way too far off. And, this is where people bail out. They quit. And oftentimes what happens, if you can see my illustration here, is there's a cycle that happens for most people. They start off at 1. They get excited. They continue to work toward their goals. Then they get down here to the valley of despair, becomes incredibly uncomfortable. So they quit. And what they do is they look for the next shiny thing. Oh, well, 75 hard isn't going to work for me. So I'm going to go try this other program, maybe something a little bit easier or something like that. They look for the next shiny object. And the lack of persistence and consistency, what happens is you end up in the cycle of trying new things, but you never push through the valley of despair to see the change. So you're in this perpetual cycle of trying new things, always looking for that next shiny thing, but you're still miserable because you're not making the progress that you want. And so what high-performing people do, they've learned to be able to bust through. And the next 4 considerations that I'm going to talk about here momentarily will help you when you're in the valley of despair. All right, so let's consider, we're going to suck this thing up and we're going to continue to move forward to step number 4. So, we got blisters now. Our backpack is digging in. We're hungry. We're thirsty. We're chafed. But we've decided that we're going to continue on. So you start to climb up the next mountain toward your objective. And you basically push through the forest up into the tree line where the trees start to end. And boom, as soon as you walk out of that tree line, you see the objective right there. Because if you ever climbed a mountain, as soon as you get out of the trees, you can actually see the peak there. And that's stage number 4, informed optimism. And basically, you're starting to see momentum. You are seeing the benefits. Things are starting to pay off. If you're doing a workout program, maybe you're starting to see abs. Maybe you've had your pants are starting to fall off a little bit. You're starting to see this. You're starting to feel the sense of accomplishment. You're not quite at the finish line yet, but you know that some things have changed in your life, and it's right there. You can see it. The end is right there. This builds, some momentum, right? And then ultimately, number 5, that's the achievement. That's the sense of elation that you feel from achieving your goal. You're on top of that mountain. You've achieved it. What it does, what you feel there is probably a sense of accomplishment. You gain more confidence because you did something more difficult. And that is ultimately where you're going to find fulfillment. You got to break the cycle. And no matter what change that you're trying to go through, you're going to go through from one hilltop down through the valley of despair. And at that moment, you're going to have to determine, are you going to quit or are you going to push through? And the highest achieving people, they push through when the going get tough. And if I could impart any framework or illustration to you, it would be this one. Commit this to memory, because this can be applied to any aspect of your life. And so what I want to do now is give you a few more considerations to think about when you get to the valley of despair. So why do people quit? Well, it's the first consideration is that your goal is not nested with your why. You may be doing it because everyone else is doing it. The term that my daughters recently taught me was FOMO, right? It's the fear of missing out. There are people in my 75 hard group that they were excited around the new year, but they've already quit. They were excited because all their friends were doing it. But when I asked them why they were doing it, I was like, well, I'm just here to lose some weight. I'm just here to, I'm just excited about the new year. That's not powerful enough. And that's not sufficient enough to get you through. The lack of clarity and vision for your own life, not being able to see that, is you need to have a compelling reason why. So when it gets incredibly tough, you're going to have the reason to continue to see it through. And, a lot of people, they don't see the immediate results. Their why isn't powerful enough and they get caught up in distraction. They look for the next shiny thing. And that's the pitfall of living in such an incredibly abundant and distracted society. And so as a mindset coach, the questions I would ask you is like, why is it necessary for you to complete this goal? What is it costing you not to? Why did you show up in the first place? There was something about you that wanted you to take on this endeavor at the very beginning. You were excited about it, but when the going got tough, you quit. So, but there was a reason why. You saw something initially. What is it costing you to not complete this? What is it costing those around you? How would your life be better if you did achieve it? How would the lives of those around you, your friends and family, be affected if you achieved it? Who loses if you don't win? So doing what other people are doing is not a winning strategy for success. So anytime that you find yourself doing the FOMO thing, it's not a winning strategy for success. And I would just caution you to think about that when you start something new. Like, why are you doing it? And if you don't have that compelling reason why, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to see it through. You must have clarity and a compelling reason why. So when the going gets tough, whenever fiber of your being wants you to quit, you can tap in on your why, of why you're wanting to do this. I asked someone this morning about, like why they were here. They just recently, they went out over the weekend and decided to have some drinks. I'm like, why are you doing 75 hard to begin with? Oh, well, I do good on my, I do 2 workouts a day. I drink my water. I just like to have drinks once every couple of months. I'm like, that's not the question. Why are you here? Why are you doing this program? And they're like, they don't know. And I'm like, well, you're probably in the wrong place. This program isn't for you. And like I said, this is just one of many examples you could apply to your life. But if you don't have a compelling reason of why you're doing something, you're not going to see it through. And for me personally, the reason why I'm doing it is I'm transitioning from the military and into entrepreneurship. And what 75 Hard gives me is it gives me structure to my day. It gives me the energy that I need. It gives me clarity and focus and confidence. This is my 3rd year doing it. And my family is depending on me to make this seamless transition. Entrepreneurship is incredibly difficult. And it's keeping me focused. And I know that if I do this program, it's going to cut out the BS in my life. It's going to give me courage and confidence. And it's going to give me the clarity and structure to my day that I need to be successful. And so that's why when I'm out there, I'm suffering, like, why am I doing this to myself? Well, that's the reason why. Now, the byproduct of that is you're going to have great energy. You're going to look better naked, all of those positive things, right, that they're going to happen to you. You're going to be more fit. But that's not ultimately the reason why. It's really, my 3 daughters are depending on me, and I want to get out of my own head, like, overcoming some of the traumas and things that I've experienced so I can be successful. So that's my reason why for that particular project. And I have other projects in my life and I have a compelling reason tied to them. And if you don't do that, you're not going to see it through. And that's why people are quitting in droves. It's a lack of clarity. All right. The second consideration is lack of confidence. When you don't see things through, your subconscious will keep score on these things. When you don't see it through, your subconscious is going to keep score. And the lack of follow through over time is going to erode your confidence in general. And it's going to limit the amount of courage that you have and paralyze your ability to see things through. Courage is taking that big leap of faith. Like when you want to start something, you see the fear, but you take the big leap of faith anyway. And what I like to explain to people is that there's a competence confidence loop. The more confidence that you have in something, that's directly tied to your competence, your skill, and your abilities. And it's like starting. A lot of people are often scared about going to a new gym. They're not, it might be a different kind of. It's intimidating. It's like maybe say a CrossFit box, right? Where you got a lot of people that they're doing specific moves. They know what they're doing. There's that family environment. And so someone new that can be very intimidating for someone. And it's really tied into not having the competence. They don't understand the moves. They're going to be struggling a little bit. They don't want to look weak. They're afraid of other people's judgments. They're afraid that other people are looking at them and mocking at them, and making fun of them. And it's really not true at all. Every time I go to the gym, I really don't care what other people are doing. But that's for a lot of people. That's what they struggle with. But as you gain more competence, as you go through the instruction and you show up regularly, you're going to gain more competence. Then you're going to gain more confidence in your ability. And so that's what when lack of confidence can affect your ability to see things through, because when you start to push through the difficult, the valley of despair, not having confidence, you're gonna want to up and quit. But if you have more confidence, you're going to be able to see it through. It's like you have a frame of reference when you've done multiple difficult things. Like anytime that I take on a difficult endeavor, I think about other challenging things that I have done, the other mountains that I've climbed. Like, you know what? I have the ability to do this. I have the resources. I know what I need to do to tap in. I know how to adjust my mindset. I know who I need to lean to. I know that I can develop skills to shore up the differences. And I apologize. I don't know if you can hear the cat in the background, but we got a couple cats for Christmas, and they're a little vocal today, so you might hear them in the background. I'm not sure what they want. It's Joey and Eddie. Hey guys, what are you guys doing? Apologize for that. Anyway, but it's the ability to see it through and having a frame of reference when you have done multiple difficult things. The more things that you have done, the more you can tap into that. When I completed my, and I was very scared about completing my degree. I did the associate degree. That gave me the confidence. Like, you know what? Okay, I can get my bachelor degree. Master's degree was never on the table for me when I initially started going to college, and I never was going to do it. I came from a broken home. No one ever went to college at that level. I thought it was impossible for me. And but by taking those steps, completing the associate degree gave me the confidence to get my bachelor degree. Earning the bachelor degree gave me the confidence that I can earn a master's degree, and I ultimately picked up two. And not to bloviate or boast, it's just an example of how I've applied that strategy to my life. I look at when I'm suffering through a difficult thing, like, you know what, I've completed the MR 340. I've completed this marathon. I've done these things. I have that frame of reference. Or I think about a challenging moment that the Army had put me through. I'm terrified of heights, but through training and my own skills and the competence that I've developed, I can deal with my fear of heights much easier now because I have a frame of reference. Like, I survived, jumping off Sapper Tower, with someone on my back, because I had the competence that I learned from the block of instruction of giving me the rope and teaching me, how to put on a Swiss seat properly and how to check the checkpoints and purposes of the ropes and tying in properly and realizing that I've got a brake hand. And if I do these certain movements, that I'll be able to stop, and gaining confidence in that. So it's through competence that you gain confidence, and those other points of references will enable you to deal with other things. So the bottom line is you got to stop quitting so you can gain confidence and have more frames of reference. And the more that you do things, the easier things become. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is lack of systems and structure. You need a proven system that creates results. Discipline is something that I talk about quite a bit in developing grit, but having frameworks and structuring your life in a way that optimizes your ability to get things through when you lack willpower, because some days you're not going to feel disciplined or motivated, or you're not going to feel like doing the thing. And by having systems and structure in place, you're going to be able to get through those scenarios when the cards are stacked against you emotionally, or when your willpower is diminished. You gotta, it kind of boils down to your habits and your systems. And James Clear talks about this in the book Atomic Habits. You've got to set the structure in place. And, when you have systems and structure, discipline is far easier to execute. Your willpower will diminish throughout the day. You have more willpower when you are feeling energetic in the morning than you do later in the day as you get tired. And these systems and structures will enable you to achieve when your willpower is low and you emotionally just don't feel like it. So you don't have, if you got to set up some systems and some structures. All right, then the final consideration I want you to think about is lack of support. Like who are your cheerleaders? Who can you count on? Who can you enlist the help of when things get challenging and tough? A lot of times people are, you can't do it alone. And I just recently talked to someone that quit on an endeavor. They had an emotional day. And I asked them, like, well, who did you call? And they're like, I didn't call anybody. I'm like, well, why not? I didn't want to bother them. I didn't want to bother them with my own struggles and my own problems. And basically what I told them was like, look, how dare you deprive your friendship of the opportunity for them to be there for you? Your own ego got in the way of you reaching out to someone that could have been there for you to help lift you up. And so, do you have friendships and people around you that are worth a damn? Who's in your corner? Whose corner are you in when, can someone call on you when they need help? And your success in life is directly related to the number of people that you could call at 3:00 in the morning who drop everything for you to be there for you. And not everyone will be those types of people. And you need to surround yourself with those types of people if you want to be successful. So when you quit, there's a lot of people around you that'll tell you that it's okay to quit, that you did your best, that you deserve to take some time off and put your feet up. 75 hard is, 75 hard's difficult, right? Not everyone can do that. We all know that. It's okay. Get it next time. Whatever endeavor that you're working on, people are going to tell you to put your feet up and it's okay. But that's, mediocrity is abundant. And if you're listening to this, you're probably a person that doesn't put a lot of value on mediocrity. You're not listening to this because you want a mediocre life. But mediocrity is abundant. And if you want to level up, you got to have good people in your corner. And you need people that push you, that you aspire to be like, that inspire you. And in my life, I don't give points to everyone's opinion. Some people get 0 points. Other people get lots of points, thousands of points, all the points, millions of points. So people have different. I assess value on people's opinions. Some people get 0 points. Their opinion is irrelevant. They're not the type of people that have walked a mile in my shoes that I want to aspire to be like. We're friends, we can, our surface level, right? We can have a good conversation, have a beer, tell a great joke, appreciate them for that, But when it comes to like real stuff, maybe it's like a relationship question or finance question or, entrepreneurial question or, their opinion just isn't going to matter because they're not someone I aspire to be like or want to be like. They don't have the same mindset. And so you need to surround yourself with successful people and the people that are going to clap when you win. And so those are important. So just as a recap, we talked about the 5 steps in the emotional cycle of change. When you're starting something new, you're going to have uninformed optimism, that moment of excitement. You're on the peak of the mountain. It's a new year. It's a new me. Let's do this. Then as you start to go down the mountain into the valley up to the next mountain, you're going to be halfway down the mountain like, oh, this is starting to suck a little bit. That's informed pessimism. That's that's where it's like, okay, it's starting to hurt a little bit. We're going to keep maneuvering through this, but starting to suffer a little bit. Then you get down to the valley of despair. That's where the cards are stacked against you. You want to bail out. Every fiber in your being is telling you to quit. You're trying to look for excuses to quit. And what a lot of people do is that's when they bail out and they go back to cycle number 1, looking for the next new shiny thing. High performing people don't do that. They lean on their support systems to get through. And what I talked about was basically 4 big considerations. tapping into your why. Why are you doing this? Being the first one. Is it nested? Is this endeavor nested with your why? Is it a lack of confidence? Is it a lack of systems and structure? Or is it a lack of support? Who can you call on? When you hit the valley of despair, who can you call on? And that's what high performing people do, is they push through. And as you come out of the valley, you're going to continue on. You're going to be chafed and all beat up with blisters. You're going to continue to move up the mountain toward the peak. And you're going to get to level number 4, just above the tree line where you can see the end, but you're not quite there yet. That's informed optimism. And then when you get to the very next peak, it's going to be achievement. And that's where you're going to have achieved success. And that is where true fulfillment and true happiness comes from. True happiness comes from having a meaningful pursuit and executing. That's where you feel deep levels of fulfillment. And a lot of people don't experience that because they get caught in the cycle of 1, 2, 3. They start a meaningful pursuit and they bail out and they look for the next shiny thing. And then this perpetual state of being in this hamster wheel of mediocrity. And you got to break the cycle. And that's what I do as a high performance coach. As a high performance coach, this is what I do for people on a daily basis. I help people develop grit and discipline so they can develop confidence, stay focused on their why, so they can achieve their goals. And I guide them up to that hilltop, that next mountaintop, so they can live a fulfilling and abundant life. And so I wanted to explain these frameworks to you today because so many people right now are quitting. I've had moments in my life where I didn't see things through. And when I have these frameworks to lean on, when I'm thinking about, why am I quitting? What's going on? Okay, who can I call for support? Is it nested with my why? What can I do to get through? What other frames of reference do I have that will give me some level of confidence so I can continue to push through? All these things are important. Without that, you're going to fail. And so understanding human behavior is incredibly important, and it gives us the tools and the strength to push through when our willpower and our emotional monkey mind is taking over and telling us to quit. So that's it. That's the nuts and bolts of today's podcast. So thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like this podcast, please subscribe and share. I'd also love to know your thoughts and feelings, or maybe did I miss something? Is there another example aside from health and wellness that you could apply this to? I use 75 hard, but is there another example? And I'd love to hear, how did you push through? Is there any consideration that I missed that helps you when you're in the valley of despair? So you can connect and follow me on social media. All the links are in the show notes. You can follow me at Jay Tiegs on Instagram, Facebook. Email me, jay@jtiegs.com, and leave a review if you haven't already done so. Subscribe so you're notified of future episodes, so you can build a community. And if you want to level up, you want to take the next step on the rung of personal development, you want to learn more concepts like this. Maybe you have a goal in mind and you need someone to help you develop your why, or you need some structure in your life. You need ways to develop grit and discipline so you can achieve the goals, to have some more vision and clarity in your life, maybe to amplify your energy, to have more influence, to be more productive, then reach out to me. Let's do a consultation. And there's multiple forms. I offer one-on-one coaching. We got group coaching in the Forge. I'm going to have leadership workshops. There's a variety of different things that we can do so you can elevate your growth mindset, so you can achieve more and live a fulfilling life. So check out the Do Hard Things store. Get yourself a disciplined Do Hard Things, grit, chafing the dream, a variety of different shirts that are over there, hoodies, and look out for the merch that we're offering over there. Get yourself a patch. Got this patch on my hat. Do Hard Things. So thank you for listening. And in the meantime, keep doing hard things. We made it through. Got a little bit cold today, but we powered through anyway. In the meantime, keep doing hard things. I'll see you guys in the next episode.